I like to go back to gallery view. Hi, William, compulsive overeater. Um, I guess we get the numbers out of the way first. My experience, strength, and hope. Um, I'm 71. Um, I am maintaining a 197-pound weight loss. Um, I have 6 months and 6 years and 5 months of back-to-back abstinence, and with uh, with the help of my higher power and my food sponsor, um, on November 26th, I'll have 7 years. That's my that's my date when I came into OA, and it's the day I became abstinent. And I I was always worried about the pink cloud, but it never actually didn't happen. Um, and I've been able to maintain it. Um, I never really had a problem with my weight growing up. Um, I'm gonna do a screen share. Get the right picture up there first. Um, this was me when I was 14. And as you can tell, I was a normal kid, normal weight. And um, I continued that way until 1975 when I got married. And unfortunately, all those pictures were destroyed in a fire that I had in my house out in Tulsa in 2012. Um, you can't see those pictures, unfortunately. I scanned them and I made sure I had duplicates of them and I had backups of them, and they were on CDs. And guess where I stored them? In the house. So, no better. Um, my highest weight ever was about 400 plus. Um, I had a scale that went to 350, and it maybe an inch and a half or so gap between 0 and 350, and it went all the way through that. There was no peg. It went through that past 0 up to 20, 22. So I guessed somewhere above 450. Um, and I never checked. I know I had a 58, 60-inch waist. I'm 5'10. Um, and I didn't realize that I was huge. I had all the problems of being obese. Uh, my pants kept having to be replaced because they didn't fit. Um, the personal hygiene problems. My back hurt. My knees hurt. I worked in Manhattan, and I would have to get on the train at 6:30 in the morning to make sure I had a seat to myself where I could sit down. And of course, I got all the dirty looks from anybody that walked by and realized they couldn't sit next to me because there wasn't enough room for a normal-sized person. Um, but I didn't have to be there at work until 9, so I went in early. We'd had a party, and I saw this montage of pictures, and right smack in the middle of it is this great big huge white whale, and I realized that was a picture of me. And I ripped it down, and unfortunately I ripped it up. I didn't scan it, but um, one of the pictures. This was me in 2012. Can you see that, or did it go away? Don't pause. Continue to do that. I don't know why it did that. I'll I'll do another screen share. I don't know why my screen share did that. This was in 2012, and I weighed about 385 pounds in this picture. And I cropped it so you couldn't see the rest of it. I have it somewhere, but I couldn't find it in time. Um, People don't recognize me. Um, the first time I lost the weight, I did it with exercise. I didn't even know anything about OA. I'd heard of AA, of course, but I was not a drinker. And so that just went over my head. And uh, I thought I could do it with exercise, and I did, and I did it really slowly. And I went from about 400 and some odd pounds down to about 200. And I decided that I'd lied about myself long enough, and I decided to come out. It was about age 41. and I was about 210. And that's when I met my husband, and we've been together 28 years. Um, and I just continued. I was so into it. I consider myself a compulsive over-exerciser. And I also say that I'm an anorexic compulsive over-exerciser because when I was exercising, and it did it again, it just doesn't like that piece of software. Sorry about that, guys. I got down to 152 pounds. And that's what I looked like. 8 years and 7 months later, that's what I looked like. And I thought I looked really great. You can't really see how bad that looks in this picture because I'm sitting down and I have a t-shirt, a shirt on. This was my room in Manhattan. And I had a 29-inch waist. So it went from 50, 60-inch waist to 29. And my oldest son came and brought something into Manhattan. I'd left when they moved. They found some stuff of mine. And I never heard him get mad at anybody until he saw me look like this. And he accused me of divorcing their mother because I didn't want him to watch me die of AIDS. And of course, I didn't have AIDS. I thought that looked really good. And unfortunately, it wasn't. Where did it go? Oh, I guess I lost it. I have another one, that picture that I can't show you what I looked like the day I joined. I don't know why I can't see that, but anyway, good old technology. When I joined OA on November 26th of 2015, I weighed about 365 pounds. So I weigh 140, I went 156 today. Well, last Monday, and you do the math, it's around 192, 196 pounds weight loss. And I decided when I first started, I had a goal weight, and then as I continued to be abstinent and I learned more about myself and my food and what I needed to do and how I needed to manage my food plan and what my abstinence was, I just decided to let God decide what my normal healthy weight was. I eat healthy. I eat my vegetables first, and I came into OA after knowing about it for 21 years. When I met my husband, the very first, I think our very first date was to go to a 12-step program. It wasn't OA, it was another one. And I've often talked about anonymity. And that was when I learned about what anonymity really was. We were in Manhattan, and he warned me. He said, "No, going into this meeting, you might see some people that you recognize from TV or movies, but don't act like a tourist." So he said, "You don't go up and ask them for their autograph. You don't call them by their stage name. You just pretty much, 'Hi, how are you?' If they say something to you, be polite and don't ask them for an autograph." And he said, "Lucky you don't have your camera with you." And sure enough, the lady that was qualifying at this meeting was a very well-known television person, and recognized her immediately. And I sat back and I watched this meeting, and sure enough, nobody acted any different about her. They thanked her after the meeting, for her share, and she smiled and shook hands, and she looked at me and smiled, and I just didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. Luckily, I kept my mouth shut. And I learned about anonymity that night. I went to the Pride Center with him to a gay men's OA meeting. And of course, I walked in and there was all these guys that looked normal. And I couldn't imagine why anybody in this room could be called an overeater, because there wasn't anybody that looked overweight. And I certainly was, and I weighed 100 some odd 40 pounds. And I didn't consider myself an overeater. And on the walls, they had these two great big huge white poster boards. One said the 12 steps, and the other one said traditions. And we started the meeting, they said some weird prayer about serenity and courage and wisdom. I had no idea what that meant. And they kept using the three-letter word. And at that point in my life, I was mad at God. I grew up in rural, well, almost rural, Oklahoma City in the 50s. And as a gay child, I was petrified. And I was taught in church that God hated me because I was gay. So I hated myself and I hated God and I hated everybody that had anything to do with church. So I looked at step one. They started reading the steps. And yeah, my life isn't manageable. I had a very good career in Manhattan. I had very successful in what I did. I was a graphic artist and teacher. And then power greater than myself. Well, for me, that was computers, because I was already into computers at that point. And then I was supposed to turn my will and my will and my life over to, or my life and my will, whatever, care of God is. I understood Him, and I understood God to hate me. So to hell with that. And I just shut down, and I shut down for 21 years. And I had to admit on that Thanksgiving day that I was, well, actually, it was the day after Thanksgiving that year, that I was a sugar addict. Um, and I mean big time sugar addict. Hershey's was my friend. Um, Anything that had processed sugar in it was my friend. Um, and I just, again, I thank my higher power and I guess my parents for the good genes. I never became diabetic. And it's a miracle with how much I had weighed, how much sugar I was eating. Um, and I just overate everything I could think of. And it was nothing to buy a pizza and eat the whole thing. Usually we get two, one for me and one for him. And he was in OA also, by the way. It's okay. You guys know him. He spoke in this meeting, so I'm not breaking his anonymity because I haven't named him. But I was a sugar addict. And that day, we went through the cabinets in our apartment and we threw everything away that had any processed sugar in it, so that there was nothing in that apartment that that had sugar in it that I couldn't eat. And I thought I was done. I was abstinent. All I had to do was stay away from sugar. And lo and behold, 6 months later, I realized there's other things. But I'd listened to people share about binging, and it talked about in 12 steps and 12 traditions about binging and eating rotten food and grabbing it out of the garbage and this, that, and the other. I didn't do any of that. So how could I don't binge. I thought I didn't binge. And my food sponsor back then started working with me. She was really slick. And we started talking about binging. And yeah, I would buy a great big bag of candy and plan on not eating all of it and making it last the whole month. And 2 days later, it was gone. And I'd go out and buy another one. And I did the same thing again. So I went out and bought 2 more. That's how I binged. But I did go out in the middle of the night. How could I be a compulsive overeater and binge? And I just waited till the next day when we went to the grocery store. That's how I binged. And I came to realize this truly is a program of individuals. We have a really good set of rules to follow. They're simply written, require a lot of work, but our programs are individual. I have my food plan. I have my higher power. I have my OA program that I work, and it seems to work for me. I believe in doing service, and as a few of you know, I'm one of my character defects is that I can't say no, and I overextend myself with service, and I've learned my lesson. Now it's happened twice. I would not recommend for myself. I don't recommend doing service in all 4 levels of OA at the same time. I had a hypertension nervous breakdown, and I was hospitalized for a week. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. And I said, well, doc, do you think it could be stress? He said, well, yeah, that's what hypertension is. And I had to step down from the things that I was doing. Felt horrible about it. And that's the day I learned that no is a complete answer. Um, with But I do believe that service is the cornerstone of this program. I know in the big book it talks about when the boys would go out, they felt like taking another drink, they would go out and find alcoholics to talk to. And
Hey, William, you have 5 more minutes.
all right, thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
And they would go out and talk with other alcoholics about the 12 steps in AA and how important that is. You know, in my list of tools, it's the second list under Planet Eden. That's to me, that's how important it is because that's how this program functions. Uh, us taking our turns doing service. I think we have some service positions available in this meeting, and I'm sure Roger will talk about that at some point. And I highly recommend and encourage you to stretch out of your comfort zone and do some service. There's lots of things that can be done in the groups and also in intergroups. My hope is that I will never forget the lessons that I am relearning now in another 12-step program. That I can become complacent. I can get the fuck it attitude really quickly if I'm not careful. I can get that, oh, I've got this made, I don't need to do that anymore attitude. And it kicked my ass. I'm paying the price for it. And I'll just let y'all know I'm a drug addict and I'm in rehab. Thank goodness I spent 8 years in the Navy, so the VA is paying for it because I couldn't afford it. And I have learned my lesson. I say that to you all because it tells us in the big book that we should admit our shortcomings to our fellows. And if you ever feel like you've got it made, you don't. If you feel like you don't want to go to a meeting, you need to be in a meeting. If you feel like I don't want to be the secretary, I don't want to be the treasurer, do it. It's okay if you don't know how to do it. Everybody will help you. You don't do it alone. That's the problem with it. Everybody thinks, oh, I can't do it because I don't know how to do it. Neither did they probably when they started it, and someone taught them how to do it. And that's what this program works. That's how it works. We're a we program, not an I. It's a we program. Together, we get better. And with that, I'll leave my number on the audio. It's 518-815-0104, and I'll put this in the chat. And thank you all for listening. And that's all I've got. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording.